Happy Memorial Day weekend, Warriors fans. Here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports, I wanted to bring up a possible trade after a recent report came out from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports that the Wizards could be open to talking about trade discussions involving Kyle Kuzma. I mean, arguably their best player. Obviously, the Wizards had the second worst record in the Eastern Conference, right ahead of the Detroit Pistons, which is not saying much. So now the Wizards are like, hey, if this means giving up possibly our best player to start enhancing our future, then they might be in a position to do so. And I think the Warriors could definitely help each other out here. So with that being said, do you want the Warriors to trade for Kyle Kuzma? Type Y for yes, type in for no. There's definitely a lot of good Kyle Kuzma can bring to the Warriors almost immediately, but I also could see the Warriors maybe holding out hope they could possibly go out and get somebody better. But go on ahead and stick around to the end of the show, and I'm going to talk about why I think Kyle Kuzma would be the best bet for the Warriors this offseason. Let's break down what Jake Fisher had to say on Yahoo Sports about Kyle Kuzma, saying they will be another advanced wing player on the trade market, although Washington's asking price for the veteran scorer prior to February's trade deadline was too rich for most rival teams. And take you all the way back here to February, the Wizards were actually asking for 2 first-round picks for Kyle Kuzma. And I could see the Wizards wanting to do this because he is the best player on the Wizards. But if he comes to the Warriors, he's not going to be the best player. So I could also see why the Warriors are like, maybe not 2 first-round picks. I highly doubt any NBA team is willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Kyle Kuzma. So I do think that asking price is going to come down just a little bit. But as of right now, it's unknown if that price has dropped. Now the Warriors do have to go into the offseason with a possible trade pending on the table of whether or not they could go get him for maybe 1 draft pick and a star player, maybe 2 draft picks, but maybe not 2 firsts. But either way, the Warriors do actually have a pretty good draft capital if they do end up wanting to give away a few future selections to get this win now type of talent. If you look at the draft capital, they do have their own first-round pick in 2025. If I'm the Wizards, I'm probably going to be looking at 2025, maybe even the 2026 first-round draft pick for Kyle Kuzma. But for the Warriors, I could see them maybe even trying to do 2 second rounds, maybe a first and a second, or maybe just a star player and a first-round draft pick. But I am going to be breaking down what it would take for the Golden State Warriors to be able to do that in the back half of the show. But first things first, I want you guys to win some money on your Memorial Day weekend because let me tell you, I love barbecues. They're my favorite thing in the entire world, but they be getting expensive sometimes. So that's why I go to PrizePicks and try to test my skills to get that money back. If you guys want to go on ahead and test your skills, just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And look, when you go there, I promise it's going to be the easiest thing you do all Memorial Day weekend. Actually playing PrizePicks, some have said, it's easier than laying out by the pool. And I may have been the person that said that, but nonetheless, all you got to do is pick more or less. This entry took me less than 10 seconds to make. Why? Because it's right there in the popular promo tab in the PrizePicks app. They got Nembhard, a nice little Memorial Day discount for your weekend, 12.5 points. He had over 30 in Game 3. Don't ask me how it happened. I'm not sure if it'll happen again, but I think he'll score more than 12.5 points, especially Tyrese Halliburton being a game-time decision. And then Tatum to have more than 30 points. When I tell you he's been averaging a double-double, it hasn't been a mere 11 points, 11 rebounds. No, it's been over 30 points he's been averaging in the postseason. I think these are going to be good. If you want to copy them, go on ahead and do so. If not, make your own. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy to watch yourself win some real money in real time. Let me give you my overarching take here in the fact that I think Kyle Kuzma immediately would elevate the Dubs. I do. I think he's almost 7 feet tall, which already makes him the tallest player on your roster, number 1. Steve Kerr has already said they need to provide more height to compete in the Western Conference, and he's not that expensive for a player that's going to be 6'9", 7 foot. You could put him right there down on the post, and I think immediately that increases your paint defense. But let's talk about what Kyle Kuzma can do on the offensive side of the ball as well, especially if you're not going to re-sign Splash Brother Klay Thompson. You're going to need somebody to put up between 17 and 20 points a game. In his less than 10 feet when he is shooting, he's averaging 60%. That isn't phenomenal for a 5'9" player right outside that post. His pull-up middies, all right, could do a little bit better here, but of course you got other scores on the Warriors roster. His pull-up three, 30%. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be Steph Curry type of percentages, but he's also not Steph Curry's height. He is still 7 feet tall, so when he is pulling up those pull-up threes, it's going to take a little bit to fall, but his catch-and-shoot threes are a lot better. And I think that would be really great if you do end up keeping somebody like Chris Paul and the way that he facilitates the basketball. If you got options, whether or not it be Steph Curry or a catch-and-shoot three from Kyle Kuzma, I'm all for it. Because the beauty of Kyle Kuzma being 6'9", 7 feet, is that you can use him at the 4 or the 5. Obviously, you've been running Draymond Green at the 4 recently since you put Trey Jackson-Davis at the 5. But even if you put Kyle Kuzma in the mix and start to get more reps here at that 5, it's going to push TJD. If you want to put him at the 4, you can still go back to your original lineup of Draymond Green at that 5 spot as well. He's averaging 22 points per game through last season, 6.5 boards per game, nearly 5 assists. He's shooting 46% from the field. But the Wizards didn't really have a lot of opportunity to outscore their opponents this last season. And up there with 34% from downtown, I'll definitely take that from a player that is going to be so tall and so dominant down low that if you can have a big guy shooting threes, it's going to pull defenders away from Steph Curry. That's what you want ultimately. And the other thing the Warriors really need to do, this is not a question, this is not an ultimatum, they have to do this to compete in the NBA Western Conference, and that's add more height. I cannot take Golden State Warriors small ball anymore. I know you guys are over it. We obviously saw that it didn't work for the Warriors this last year after they brought in a smaller guard like Chris Paul and gave away another shooter like Jordan Poole. So I think adding in Kyle Kuzma, boom, it's going to elevate the Warriors' depth chart and roster almost immediately. And the best part is you don't have to give up that much to go out and get Kyle Kuzma. Now, here is a possible trade idea in terms of the salary does equal to get Kyle Kuzma. I'm not sure the Wizards would take this just because Andrew Wiggins, of course, has been on the decline since he was an NBA All-Star. I could see them possibly putting in maybe a $2 million player in there, maybe even a $3 million player like a Moses Moody. I'm not sure if the Warriors would take that, but you will have to take that into account if a trade does happen. But Kyle Kuzma will come to the Warriors. Andrew Wiggins costs about the exact same as Kyle Kuzma, and I think you're going to be getting a lot more from Andrew Wiggins, from Kyle Kuzma. Not to mention, Wiggy and Jonathan Kuminga do not work together on the court unless Draymond Green is in there. You've got to separate that. The Warriors are looking to get rid of Wiggins, and they have at least one first-round draft pick they can give up to really meet those Wizards standards, but they could also offer a second-round pick and see what they can get, maybe even take off one of those draft picks, add in a $2 million player, and maybe the Wizards would like this as well. But what about you guys? Do you guys like this trade? Go on ahead and type A for accept, type D for decline if you would like to bring Kyle Kuzma to the Golden State Warriors here in the offseason, and all you got to give up is 2 draft picks and Andrew Wiggins. Because you got to look at what Kyle Kuzma's contract is going to be costing. It's about roughly, maybe even less than what they just offered Andrew Wiggins for the next 3 years. And they want to get that contract off the books. They want to get rid of Andrew Wiggins. They have already discussed that he's open for trade talks, and now Kyle Kuzma may be open to trade talks per the Wizards. So I think it does line up there in terms of salary. And look, if you're living in a perfect world and the Wizards want to get rid of Kuzma and the Warriors want to get rid of Andrew Wiggins, I could see another Chris Paul, Jordan Poole type of trade happening here in the offseason of the Wizards kind of taking still a very good player in Andrew Wiggins, although I just don't think he is as good as he can be in the Golden State Warriors system. And Kyle Kuzma, who desperately needs to be back on a winning team. He's already played for the Lakers. He already understands the Western Conference type of pace. I think this could be a very easy trade for the Warriors to get done early in the offseason. It won't break the bank, and you get rid of Andrew Wiggins. But I do still see the Warriors getting rid of Wiggins, whether or not it has to do with Kyle Kuzma. Is there a player you would like to trade Andrew Wiggins for right now in the NBA? Go on ahead and comment that down below. If you guys think there's a better player than Kuzma, you could possibly get with Andrew Wiggins $24 million a year. And if you guys want to, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me as well. If anything happens with Kyle Kuzma, Andrew Wiggins, or the Golden State Warriors, we have it right here for free. And obviously, we take no days off. Happy Memorial Day. Go on ahead and hit that sub button for me.